Hello, welcome to TED Talk Daily. I'm Ron Burgundy. Today we have a very special guest. Five-time Pulitzer Prize-winning author Cassandra Grenier is here to share her senior seminar reflection with us. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Cassandra Grenier.
Thank you, Ron. For my reflection, it would be easy to focus on my strengths, but in honor of my growth mindset, I did not take the easy route or a strengths-based approach. I will not touch upon character traits that I possess, such as not having a fear for failure and my ability to use failure as an opportunity, which I have demonstrated through my internship search, or the grit I possess that has helped me overcome great adversity in my lifetime. Rather, for the purpose of this reflection, I will focus on my areas of improvement. I refer to what one may call my weaknesses as areas of improvement because I do not think it is appropriate to call them weaknesses. Professionally, I am young and learning and have yet to develop bad habits. I believe the language we use profoundly affects our attitude, and our attitude affects how we view the world. Therefore, they are not weaknesses, but areas of which I can and will improve upon. Reflection of my strengths, my grittiness, my appropriate risk-taking, my growth mindset, and not being afraid to fail, strong work ethic, and critical thinking ability came naturally during class discussions and when reading Outsiders and Mindset. It may have been why I read both books in a couple of days. Reflection upon my areas of improvement was much more time-consuming, thought-provoking, difficult, and not as much fun, yet interesting. You are your own worst critic, after all. So, I believe my weaknesses are directly related to where I come from and my generation. As Eunice He pointed out during her TED Talk, that was shown in the Grit, Passion, Perseverance, and Motivation presentation, Generation Y, my generation, has been labeled by the New York Times as the worst generation ever, and the Harvard Business Review has called Generation Y lazy, pampered, high maintenance, the hardest generation to maintain in the workforce, entitled, selfish, and apparently we have a passion problem. I do not agree. I can see where Generation Y has earned these labels in many cases when I think of my peers, but I do not believe I have many of these negative characteristics. However, I do believe that I am afraid to be vulnerable. Due to the people that I have grown up with who possess the negative characteristics, stereotypical for Gen Y, and because of the things I have witnessed in my life. Individuals from Generation Y have lived through nationally recognized traumatic events and lesser recognized personal misfortunes. Generation Y has been alive for Columbine, 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, the Virginia Tech shooting, the Aurora, Colorado movie theater shooting, the Sandy Hook school shooting, and, during this time, war in the Middle East. Generation Y has learned from a young age that life is short. I think that is why we have a so-called passion problem, and is why we are known as selfish, because we want to do what will give us meaning in life and what makes us happy in life, rather than what others expect from us. I also believe this has led to my fear of being vulnerable. Brené Brown, in her TED Talk, which we watched in class, touched upon the value of vulnerability and how society today is losing a tolerance for vulnerability. I am losing my tolerance to be vulnerable. I have taken great strides to not let myself be vulnerable. I do not tell people about my struggles or my successes, and I have a hard time letting myself be myself and putting myself at the table, as Sheryl Sandberg would say. Some of my fear of vulnerability may stem from the want to be liked, as most females my age do, and are often over-consumed with reaching unrealistic ideals that we view for ourselves and place on ourselves. I do not know anyone who doesn't want to be liked. I also do not know anyone that does not want to be successful. However, As stated in Sheryl Sandberg's TED Talk, success and likability are negatively correlated for a woman. The more successful I am, the less I will be liked. I want to be liked, as corny and shallow as it may seem, and at the same time, I want to be successful. I want to be a valuable leader in the field of outdoor recreation and therapeutic recreation. The balance of wanting both things has led me to a state of avoiding vulnerability. By denying myself vulnerability, I have also been decreasing my ability to be creative and have joy in my life and be happy. Also, not allowing myself to be vulnerable causes me to lose purpose and meaning in my life. I will allow myself to be vulnerable and in turn allow myself to be more creative, which will lead me to greater success and a greater ability to be comfortable with failure. However, it may take a long time to reach a state where I feel comfortable being vulnerable. Brené Brown suggests to embrace vulnerability, we need to allow ourselves to be seen in our true forms. We need to love with our whole hearts, even when there is no guarantee. We need to practice gratitude and joy in the moments we feel the most vulnerable and have the most questions. And we need to feel that we are enough. Specifically, I need to work on allowing myself to be seen in my true form and feeling that I am enough. To embrace and have a growth mindset in relationships, I need to allow myself to be vulnerable. Because I have been scared of allowing myself to be vulnerable, I do not easily build support networks. I have learned through outliers, that a support network is necessary to accomplish your goals. Everyone needs a strong support network to do anything. In the past, even when I have had a strong network, I have not been able to use it because I am afraid to ask for help. This summer, I was put in a fairly small maze with no end. I was in the maze for an hour and 16 minutes. By the 40th minute, I understood the layout of the maze and knew it by heart. The way out of your maze was to raise your hand and ask for help. I only raised my hand because I had to go to the bathroom. I would have been in there for much longer if not. And I was in the maze significantly longer than my peers. The maze demonstrates two things about my character. It demonstrates my grittiness, my willingness to work hard and persevere and never stop climbing, but it also demonstrates that I can be stubborn, restless, and my lack of ability to be vulnerable. I need to find a balance. I need to learn when it's appropriate to keep pushing on and when I need to be completely vulnerable and ask for help from my support network. Learning to ask for help will help me along my path to success. With this support network, I will be able to begin working towards my 10,000 hours by professionally and personally exploring the outdoors. I tried to calculate how many hours I have spent snowboarding. It's pretty close to 10,000 hours. I was being conservative. With these 10,000 hours under my belt, I will become an expert in outdoor facilitation and improve the quality of life of individuals in my community, which will ultimately be my goal as a therapeutic recreational specialist. To conclude my reflection, I will use an inconclusive notion. In class, we have touched upon leaving a legacy and what our legacy will be. I do not know what I want my legacy to be, other than it will have, and I don't know what it will contain other than it will have something to do with outdoor adventure and therapeutic recreation. But I do know that I do not want to focus on leaving a legacy, for I will live my life humbly and with purpose, and then, naturally, a legacy will develop, for I will do my ordinary to become extraordinary.
That is some great stuff. Well, from all of us here at TED Talk Daily, I'm Ron Burgundy. Stay classy, Springfield.